Greetings. It is I, Jeff Hopkins, speaking to you through a gold-plated podcast microphone, wearing my diamond-encrusted podcasting smoking jacket, sitting on a down-filled lazy boy made just for podcasting. And I'm joined, as always, by my good friends Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
To whom's homes I have sent 100 caviar-laden pizzas this evening, because this is the Mount Rushmore of ridiculous expenses. It is tax day, and you may be looking for things to deduct from your taxes so that you may have a healthy return, or perhaps not have to pay anything. And so I am deducting on my podcasting business all of this aforementioned necessities. But Michael and Richard are going to debate the Mount Rushmore of ridiculous expenses. I think it's Richard's choice?
It's Michael's.
Michael's choice. So Richard, tell me why Michael chose this.
I think Michael was interested in, I don't know.
I'll ask Michael. Michael!
Hey, guys. Well, this is interesting because I think that there might be I will be very happy to hear Richard's choices, because I think that there might be maybe a slight language issue in the way that I wrote the topic, because we'll just see where this goes. I'm curious to hear what Richard has chosen. I know that there's, on our little Facebook group, you mentioned this coming out on tax day, and then I was like, should I clear something up? No.
Why clear things up? Let's leave it as muddy as possible.
Yeah,
let's just put the hammer to Jeff and let him sort it out.
Yeah.
Which so basically my reason for this was I was watching a movie, and the movie gave me the idea, but I was watching the movie Clerks. Now, that's a very interesting movie in that it doesn't quite hold up the way it held up when I was like 16 and It was 1994, and it was like, oh my God, these guys are seemingly cool. When you're 42 and watching, you're like, these guys are losers, and language isn't language that I would use anymore. And but there is an aspect of one of the characters that led me to be like, oh, this might be interesting. So.
Okay.
When we get to my choice, I'll explain it a little further. That's called a tease.
Ooh, sweet.
That's what we do in the industry.
Yeah, there you go.
And speaking of teas, I have exported to your homes the finest of Darjeeling teas, which I
do appreciate that is the tea that everyone goes to.
Yeah.
As if to imply expense, as if it's not just like one of the two generic teas in the world.
Yeah, Earl Grey.
Imported straight from Darjeeling.
Yeah. I have sent you the finest Nebraska tea. Oh, really? Nebraska tea fields. Richard, you were going to start things off and let us know you're first.
And I kind of, just so you know, Michael, I took kind of a broad view of ridiculous expenses.
Okay.
So there's expenses across the whole gamut of what you could consider an expense. So
yeah, like I said, I realized might be a little, we might be on the same page, but there's a good chance that we're just going to be like, ships passing in the night, and one of us is the Titanic.
Sure. Well, I think we know who that is. Raise his hand. So my first choice is a symbol of pork barrel spending, of the Gravina Island Bridge in Alaska, otherwise known as the Bridge to Nowhere.
Bridge to Nowhere. Okay. Yeah.
As championed by the Alaskan congressional delegation back in the early 2000s, including Senator Ted, the Internet is a series of tubes, Stevens. This was a bridge that was going to connect Gravina Island, which has an airport and 50 residents. I said, yes, that's right. I said 50 residents.
Wow.
With the mainland of Alaska at a cost of a mere $398 million.
Holy bananas.
What is Do they actually export holy bananas from
Oh,
from their island in Alaska?
That's what the airport brings in. Yes. No, this was there was an earmark for this. It was snuck into some transportation bill, and it got pointed out as a an obvious misuse of government funds, or sort of, there's these earmarks that kind of get put in larger transportation bills. And there was a big stink about it. And it was originally designed to replace this ferry that they have. There's a ferry that goes to the island every 30 minutes and then every 15 minutes during tourism season. And it's like $6 or $7 if you've got a car. But they wanted to have something faster than that. So they decided, let's build a bridge. But this would have been one of the world's longest bridges if they would have actually built it. It would have been longer than the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know if it's one of the world's longest, but it would have been longer than the Golden Gate Bridge. It would have been a massive, huge bridge just to try and get people from this, essentially these 50 people and the supplies that are getting flown into the airport across the way to the rest of Alaska. It wound up not happening. Eventually, they got shouted down. Sarah Palin, as governor, supported it and supported it and supported it. And then when she ran for vice president, decided, oh, I was always against this because she's a class act. And wound up, what they wound up doing was just improving the ferry service, which is exactly what they should have been doing in the first place.
But like put a vending machine in like the little house that's on the boat.
Yeah, they made sure that the guy the skipper who runs the ferry, they did like, it had one of those things where he has to blow into it to make sure he's not too drunk to drive the ferry. That was the big.
That was it.
Advancement, yeah.
Wow.
And
Ravenna Island Bridge sounds like a Aaron Sorkin, or sounds like it's got a hipster kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, it does sound like something that would have popped up on the West Wing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That somehow it came out that like Toby had snuck some sort of like huge earmark in for his hometown, like some sort of bridge or something.
Yeah.
No, Toby wouldn't have done that. He was one of the ethical ones.
Oh, that's right.
It would have been
Sam
I don't. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The West Wing has definitely skewed a lot of it. God, it's such fantasy. It has definitely skewed my opinion on like how things actually work and how nothing ever gets resolved. I remember like rewatching that show, God, some years ago, and every topic that they talked about was still in play. There's not one thing that has changed, and there's not been one talking point that has been resolved in the 15, 20 years that it has been off TV, or however long it's been. It hasn't been that long, but like it's all the same, just a kind of plastic and a different color paint or whatever.
I forgot this part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that after the bridge got canceled, the Palin administration wound up spending $25 million to build a highway that would have gone to the bridge, but now there's no bridge there. And she claimed it was something that they had to do because there was money that came from the federal government. And if they didn't spend it, it was just going to go back to the federal government. Which, can you believe the hypocrisy of these assholes?
Wow.
Complaining about every, what the federal government is, spending your tax. And then, when it's something that's can benefit them in even the slightest, most inconsequential way, they're not giving that. I mean, they could give that $25 million back and it could go back into the, congressional coffers and be used for something else eventually. Mm-hmm. But no, they're just going to, take it and build something that's completely useless. Apparently nobody is on the road. It's a completely empty, dead road. It's literally a road to nowhere. But
David Byrne wants his he just wants his commission off of that. He wants his royalties for that road too.
There's not even a highway to hell like that. I could see.
Is there a Hell, Montana or something like that?
Yeah. Oh my God.
There could actually be a highway to hell.
Oh, okay, Michael Winfield. Let's hear what oddball choices you made.
Okay, my crazy choices. Number one is the one that I alluded to. I was watching Clerks, and there's Dante, and of course now I can't remember the name of the guy that rents videos at the BST or BTS Video Mart, and it got me thinking. Boy, did they really try to shake you down with the cost of replacing a VHS tape that was lost in the years like 1982 to like 1991. Like just that threat that like the $99 to replace the lost or broken copy of Over the Top that I had rented for $2. What a ridiculous fee expense. The idea that a VHS tape that was as expensive, like that was the most, it was such an outrageous thing in my head. And everybody, they just put the fear of God into you, like, oh my God, lost or missing tapes, $99 to replace them. You're just like, no, but it's Muppets Take Manhattan. I mean, it's not like the best movie in the world. It's something that
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love
I don't know what happened to it.
It's gator bait too, and you say, look, I'm the last guy who checked this out. Every time I check this out, no one, I have subsidized the presence of Gator Bait 2 on your shelf this whole time. I own this. This is my movie. You're just holding on to it.
The good news is that VHS tapes are notorious for not breaking at all.
No, never.
Or having any sort of mechanical problem. So you're good.
I would also second that rewinding. How fucking hard is that, Blockbuster? It's not that hard. You've got the little car.
Yeah.
I've got the car. You don't need to. Oh, come on. You need to charge me money for that?
They were the original, like before banks realized they can start charging fees. The video stores where they're being like,
yeah,
let's just get them for everything.
Yeah.
What do you want? They're not rewinding? Okay, the tapes missing or damaged a little bit. Let's get them for that. It's
what
not
a
the
time though. So much.
Yeah.
I mean, now turning on Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. You don't have that kind of new carpet smell. There's not that rack that has Twizzlers and microwave popcorn in a bucket. You just don't have that video store vibe that you had when you walked in there.
Definitely the streaming services don't have the like snooty like guy behind the counter, the Quentin Tarantino type character, the whatever his name is from Clerks, who's it's kicking me. I could look it up, but I don't care that much.
It's
like
Randall.
the person
Randall.
Thank you, Randall. That snooty character that has organized the tapes in his own particular way.
Yeah.
By a specific genre or director, or just by his or her own personal delights. Yeah. You don't get that. It's like here's our recommendations for you. Chevy Chase in Funny Farm. Why? No, I'm not going to watch it. Doesn't matter.
I love the fact that their threat, if you didn't pay that money, if you broke or lost the VHS tape, is that you would lose your Blockbuster card. My God, what would you do then?
Did I ever do an impression of it was a Hollywood Video in Minneapolis, the uptown area of Minneapolis, that had, I know I've probably done this bit before, but it was true. It was real.
No, I haven't heard it.
It had a robo-caller thing that would call you when your movie was late. If it was 2 days late. But it was kind of a combination of, it was like an early version of the automatic caller thing, in that it had a automated voice thing that said the name of the movie that was late. But then it had, and this is Minneapolis, inexplicably, I think a Southern gentleman would do most of the recording. And so your phone would ring and you pick it up and go, hello. And, hi, this is Tony from Hollywood Video at 1152 Hennepin. Your copy of Airbud 2 is 2 days late. Please return it. So it was like a robot Ned Flanders Western cyborg mishmash, and it made me just want to never return movies because I knew I'd be getting that phone call.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's so funny.
because somebody is waiting desperately for that copy in Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah, no.
that you forgot to turn in for a couple of days.
Or the do you remember? I think Block. I think other
Nothing but trouble.
rentals people had this too. Like Whoopi Goldberg's Straight Talk about breast cancer, the free cassette that was like,
Yeah.
like, oh no, you don't have to pay for that. That's free.
And I love when they went out of business and they started selling off their tapes.
Yeah.
The tapes they sold them for like $5 each.
Yeah.
Which lets you know the true value
The Emperor
of
had
a
no
VHS
clothes.
tape. Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, I
funny.
can own that copy of The Mummy Returns.
Yeah. Okay. Richard, what's your second?
All right, my second one is also something of an example of, I would say, government waste. Maybe not an earmark or pork barrel spending, but something that an expense that falls into the category of being ridiculous in terms of why would you think this was a good idea to raise that? Why would you think this would actually help you? And I am talking about the Department of Defense spending money on NASCAR.
What?
I love NASCAR. I grew up watching NASCAR. I watched a NASCAR race today. It was on TV. And so you would think there and look, there's pretty big the Venn diagram of people who support the military and NASCAR fans is pretty much completely overlapping. It's just one circle. But so I guess to some respects, it makes sense for the military to be advertising for their recruitment campaigns with NASCAR fans. So the Department of Defense, for example, in 2015, they spent about $1.5 million on personal appearances where military members would show up to the races and get on TV or do ride-alongs with the drivers where they get to sit in the car with them and go around the track and they can do photo ops and things like that. And also for about a 5-year stretch, they spent about $130 million, a little bit more than that. The National Guard did on sponsoring Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. If you're wondering how much it costs to sponsor a race car, if you ever thought that'd be good for the podcast, if we could get our name on a NASCAR car, it's a little out of our price range. So they spent $136 million on sponsoring this car for 5 years.
Ooh, wow.
You want to guess how many? They did a survey, and you want to guess how many guardsmen wound up enlisting based on that said they enlisted because they saw the car being sponsored by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Just a rough guess.
73.
Zero. None. Nobody.
Wow.
Didn't.
Yeah, but can you wait till be that first one?
The NASCAR
The one
guardsman.
guy.
You could be the I'm number one guy.
I mean, at some point, they must have known like this wasn't working.
Is that
They
the
had
right
to be
metric
doing
to
the-
Yeah,
measure
but who?
success?
Who else sponsors Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Like
Budweiser.
Do people drink Budweiser because they see him driving around? I fail to believe that.
I think
I fail to believe they've.
I
Go
agree
ahead.
I agree that more people would probably believe it if he was drinking it during the race. If you just saw him at a pit stop, just being handed like a Bud Heavy, like through the window or something like that, then I'd be more into it.
Why did you choose guardsmen? Like, I could see like tank infantry. Like, I want to drive like Dale in this tank or something like that, like a
Right.
Jeep.
Well, I think that this was when there was a big push to try and get more guardsmen. I think this was when the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq were still a little more heavy.
Yeah.
And there was more of a perceived need to get more volunteers to sign up through the National Guard and look.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking at a picture of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Number 88 National Guard car right now, and boy, there's no mistaking. They want you to go to nationalguard.com from that picture.
Okay.
It's
Understood.
the same thing when It's the same reason why the Army has video games. If you go to goarmy.com, they want you to play these high-tech sort of shoot 'em
Yeah.
up video games to make it cool to be part of the Army.
No, like the people who just wanted pork barrel spending in Alaska. Do you think the good old boys at the Department of Defense just wanted expense paid suites up in these? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think someone was a NASCAR fan who pitched this to somebody else who was a NASCAR fan,
Yeah.
who then got it up the flagpole, and there were enough people who were able to see not just that they would get something personal out of it, but that it was something that you can show off how the money was spent. It's a very showy sort of, hey, look at that car. That's like basically our car. When you turn on TV, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, could that money have been better spent for, I don't know, equipment, camouflage, food, whatever? Yes, but
well,
that's
the
not
car. The car should have been totally camouflaged.
I know they had camouflage. Well, if it's camouflage, how do you know if it won?
Well, it should be black. It should be black, the color of the road, and yellow stripes, so you think it's the road. That's what I would do. So you can't even see it.
I think it's too.
Lettering's black.
If it's the National Guard, it also should only go like it should drive once a month on the weekend. Yeah. What do you think that guy was going to do if he didn't go in the National Guard? Work at a gas station? What was he going to do?
I don't know. I mean, I know people who are in the who did the National Guard.
Yeah.
And there are various reasons for doing it. I don't begrudge them for doing it. I respect them for doing it. Certainly not something I would do. But I totally respect people who did it. But to your point, I don't know that I don't know how you get to the point where you think somebody is going to go, oh, that car reminds me. I was going to go sign up for the National Guard. Whoops, I forgot about that. Guess I should go do that this weekend.
Yeah, it seems like something you're going to do or not.
Yes,
like
you probably knew from an earlier age that it's something you wanted to do.
I'm going to get a Prince Albert. Nah.
Wait, a car just said I should get a Prince Albert. Just drove by. That's right. All right. Okay, I got it.
All right, Winfield, what's your second one?
My second one. I'll stay within the realm of cars. You guys ready?
Yeah. Lay it on us.
This is any service offered by an oil change place other than the oil change. Now listen, I will spend $29.99 to get my filters replaced, to have all the oil drained out of my car, for them to do all that business. I refuse to pay $12.99 or $19.99 for a new headlamp. I refuse to get the what I assume is a very important thing to have done, like the transmission fluid replaced in my car.
Blinker.
No
fluid.
way.
Yeah.
All of that, anything else that you can get at a Jiffy Lube or Valvoline or whatever the places that I'm sure are entirely reputable, it all seems like a scam. It all seems like it is just expensive enough that I really don't trust it. There's something I feel like it is an expense that, obviously it's we're driving around in these multi-$1,000 cars that we either lease or own or whatever we're paying monthly payments on. And I should be taking care of it a little bit more than I probably should, but not to the extent at which Jiffy Lube thinks I should, because I just have never trusted it. And it always, like, the price is always like, really? $79.99 for whatever flushing of whatever fluid is you need to have come out of my car. And
the veracity of the problem is always questionable for me. They usually come in and, all right, take a look at this, and they hold up like a gray cylinder that came out of a car 40 years ago. That is their prop in this big charade that they pull on. Like, I don't know whose car that came from. Right. You showed me that thing the last time I was here. That same thing. It's on a chain with a piece of wood tied to it because you don't want to lose it. That's not a real thing. It's not a real air cabin filter.
Air cabin filter.
Yeah.
Blinker fluid, like I said.
Yeah. Blinker fluid.
Michael, would you feel
Yes.
more comfortable with that expense if it came from like an actual repair shop? Like if you brought your car in to get like a transmission fix and they said, well, it turns out that your engine, we need this, and that. It would be great if you did that. It's starting to, or your tire, your shocks are starting to go. If you're at an actual repair place.
Yes, I think that there is. I think there is like a chain of believability, and definitely like the Jiffy Lube type places, Express Lube are definitely at the bottom of like, I trust you. I think it goes that. I think whether you own the car or lease the car, if you're at like your dealership, I think that's the next step up. Because if you're leasing a car from Hyundai or Land Rover or whoever, they have like an interest in keeping this car running to an extent. But I think that you need to maintain a particular relationship with a repair shop. And I think then there's like two levels. There's like, at that point, you're at like, I'm just taking this to a repair shop that I've never been to before. And then I'm taking it to the guy that I know is going to just take care of my car. So I think that there's a level of trust with all of it that goes along with how much they will charge you. Like if I was to take it to, I don't know, they say, oh, you need your transmission fluid replaced. Okay. And they're like, it's going to be like $99. I'd be like, okay, that seems about right. Based on nothing. But at Jiffy Lube, it's like $179. You're like, wait a second. There's something wrong there. I have no idea how much it actually costs, what the effort is involved in this particular detail. But I think that there is just, it's like you don't go into McDonald's and read the nutrition information. You don't read the calories. Is anybody, I know it's, federally mandated now, but does anybody go in and choose whether they're getting the quarter pounder or the double quarter pounder or a Big Mac based on like the calories that are listed? No. Is that information accurate? I don't know. I
think with the dealer, they know when I go to the dealer, they always say you can do it now, or you might have to do it sometime down the road. Like, I always feel like they know. I think it's kind of like when you go to the restaurant, it's in your neighbor and they offer you dessert. They think at the end of the day, the guy's probably not going to get it, but maybe the next time they'll think about it. And I think the dealer is also hoping to buy back your car at some point too, and for a trade-in. So I think they kind of want to keep it doing the necessary things, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel you. I kind of trust those dudes more.
Yeah.
Because they're in a relationship. They want to sell you the next car and they don't want to seem to be scammy losers.
Yeah.
Okay. Halfway mark. We're halfway. So we filed the federal. And so we can transfer a lot of the information from the federal to the state form. So there's that. So that's good. So now the kind of state stuff, you got nothing. You got nothing that we can deduct. I'm sorry. That gold-plated Rickenbacker electric guitar, that was a frivolous expense. You don't even know how to play that thing.
I play it in the background of my Zoom meetings for work.
Sweet.
Does that count?
That counts. That's a deduction.
Okay. Great. Super.
You can deduct every episode of the Mount Rushmore podcast that you listen to.
Whatever that costs you.
Yeah.
However much it costs you to listen to this free podcast.
As a
your
charitable donation.
Your soul, your mind, write it off.
Your time.
It's like volunteering for a charity. That's us. So thank you for doing that. And then you could volunteer every suggestion you create for a future episode. You can deduct all of those from your taxes. So please go do that. You can do that at any of the social media sites that we have a presence on, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can do those things. And now we're back to round 3 Richard, let's get ridiculous.
Yeah, here's something ridiculous. This one it floored me and yet I was not surprised at all when I heard it. So it's 2003. Bono is leaving London to go to Italy to perform at a charity concert for Pavarotti. And he gets there and he realizes that he has left his favorite hat back in London.
Oh wow.
It's a trilby hat, like one of those fedoras, but like with a shorter brim, if you can picture that. Type of thing you would see a lot of people wear at the horse racing track, along with a rumpled suit and a bottle of rye. That's what the hat. Okay. Picture that guy, that type of hat,
like a Gene Hackman French Connection kind of.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
like Elvis Costello is wearing a trilby hat.
Yes, he is a trilby supporter.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So he decided this is his favorite hat and he doesn't want to perform without it. So he pays $150 for a taxi to get the hat to Gatwick Airport. Pays $663 to get the hat placed in the cockpit of a British Airways flight so that it wouldn't get squashed by any passengers. And then another $225 in taxi fares from the airport in Italy to where he was so he could get the hat a couple of hours before the concert.
Wow.
It turns out that if you add all of that up, plus insurance, plus tips, it was about $1,500.
Wow.
Just to get this stupid looking hat on Bono's head. Which reminded me when we
quick Google search for Bono and trilby.
Yeah.
What did it remind you of?
It reminded me of the fact that we used to think Bono was cool at one point, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's and that stopped. But it hadn't stopped by 2003, I don't think.
No.
But maybe this was right around the time when we started to realize, wait a second, this guy might be a douchebag.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But something seems off about this.
It seems like there's a formula there, and like being disconnected from reality is a main aspect of the motivation for a ridiculous expenditure. Like it feels like his reality is very different than ours.
Yeah, I mean, there's no scenario where a normal person would even spend a fraction of that to get this, even if it's your favorite hat, your lucky hat, passed down from generations of Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like a treasured keepsake.
Yeah.
Even if that was the case, and you showed up for an audition and you wanted that hat, you realized you got there, no hat.
Yeah.
You would just go out and buy a hat.
Yeah.
That's what a normal person would do.
But Jeff would buy the hat that has the little twirly gig on the top of it.
The beanie.
That's what I assumed that. Yeah, that's what I assumed the hat that was passed down through the Hopkins family.
That's on
was
our
a
crest.
propeller hat.
It's a bear fighting wearing a beanie with a propeller on it and the googly eye glasses.
Somehow the crest goes.
Yeah. Okay. Even if Bono could say, I must. So this was the cover of Joshua Tree. That was that hat, wasn't it? Like or Unforgettable Fire. I'm trying to think of one because didn't he wore that hat in some videos?
Yeah,
that was like his big thing for a while. Okay, so if he could even justify, I'm doing this for my fans because if without the hat I give a bad show and I owe them a good show, he still needs to see a fucking therapist because the hat doesn't sing. Yeah. Okay.
What you don't know about this hat?
Yeah.
It's a trill. It's a trilby. It trills.
Yeah. I can only assume that Bono was starting to go bald in 2003.
Yeah.
And panicked that he wasn't going to have a hat that would sufficiently cover his bald spot.
Yep.
And as someone who is going thinning on the top, to put it mildly, I can understand this.
No, I feel
but
it.
Just go. It's Italy. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
They have plenty of hats in Italy.
You could show Guido that hat, show a photo, and he's going to get that hat in just 1 second.
He probably got the hat from Italy.
Yeah.
It's most likely an Italian hat to begin with.
Yep.
This guy. And I would like to see how that got expensed. You know, at some point, did he wind up trying to put that on his taxes as some sort of business expense? $1,500 in shipment for a hat, or just how did that work out?
I love the conversation too, where Larry Mullen Jr. says, "Well, my drums didn't show up. Fuck your drums.
Take your drums and shove them up your ass.
They got drums here in Italy."
There's got to be, you know, he probably has a personal assistant or 7. Did not one of them say, like, you know, we don't have to put it in the cockpit. We can just get a hat box. This is what they're invented for. They invented something called hat boxes that you put the hat in so it won't get crushed. Nope. Has to be riding in the cockpit.
I would love.
Or they couldn't just buy a ticket for one of his assistants to fly out there holding the hat.
Wearing the hat.
Well,
keep the shape.
Well,
that's a bridge too far.
Yeah,
that's a bridge nowhere too far.
That's a bridge. Yeah,
if I was that assistant, I would buy the lookalike hat, then forge some receipts for airlines and shit like that, and just pocket that dough.
Oh my God! Can you imagine just being an assistant for these people that have so much money that is just that they can make stupid decisions?
Yeah.
God, I had a friend of mine who was a assistant to Christy Swanson, the original Buffy.
Oh, yeah.
The stories he could tell. I don't remember any specifically, but I do remember generally just some of the requests and things that he had to do. And it was just like, you're Christy Swanson. Really? And this was back in late 90s, but still. You're known for being the Buffy that's not Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
And you used to date Alan Thicke. That's basically what you're known for.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Winfield, third.
This was alluded to earlier, Jeffrey.
Oh.
The idea of cable companies and the streaming services, and how all of these expenses have been fighting each other and are slowly getting inflated back to traditional cable company prices.
Oh, yeah.
There's, you know, we got to a point when our cable bill was getting to, I don't know, $129 a month. And it's like, what? I don't watch any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I watch a little ESPN. I certainly don't watch MTV anymore. I watch Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. Why do I have all of these channels? TBS, I guess, to watch Austin Powers, a movie that I own because it came on the TV. That's strange.
Yeah.
But there he is. He's funny. Okay. Okay, well, let's start. We got Netflix. Netflix has every movie. Just watch Netflix. Okay. $8.99 a month. That's fine. Wait a second. What's going on over here? HBO, all these other streaming services. All of these things start getting, I think 2 things happen. All these services realize, well, we can sell our services within a cable provider and make money that way. And then we can just sell it on the side to the people that have decided that they don't want all these other channels. Then every other channel is like, whoa, hello, CBS over here. How about $5.99 for all these shows that you don't actually want to watch? Oh yeah, I got to have that. Paramount Plus. Amazon Prime is weird because it's kind of included in the price of all of our binge buying that we're doing. Cinemax. Getting to the point where you're just like, all this stuff, if you're going to subscribe, is just rivaling that of like common cable. And there's still nothing that I want to watch on a Friday night other than like the latest Disney Plus action adventure show.
Yeah.
We sit there and we're like, okay, well, we're going to watch WandaVision. We're going to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to watch Mandalorian. It's like, what are we going to watch next? And we just sit there. We're just scrolling.
Yeah.
And you're just looking for something familiar. And you're just like, God damn, Netflix used to have all this stuff. Funny Farm. No way.
Oh, there was a great article about the demise of the Netflix DVD service, which had exponentially more videos than all the extant services combined. They had every DVD that was ever made. And now all the other services have kind of grabbed their own stuff back.
Yeah.
And they've realized you can't, you just inundate people with, they keep things fresh by taking things off the service. Basically, so that library was once kind of the, what was it, the Great Library of Alexandria or something. It was this huge
That's
thing.
right.
And now it's a wasteland.
It's been segmented, and like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like one service, like, or all these multiple services have just replaced. It's all been replaced by the stuff that you didn't watch before.
Yeah.
Like occasionally, we're lucky in the sense that we have like HBO Max. We don't pay for HBO Max. We use like our mother-in-law's HBO Max login, and God bless her, because that's the only way that we've watched like.
Thank God you were able to watch. Thank God you were able to watch Wonder Woman 84.
Yes, thank you. I think that there is just this. I think that there is a two-pronged problem. There's an abundance of really good television shows, and I think we talked about it on a podcast a long time ago. But like this weird pressure to watch, and be current with like television and entertainment. And it's just like there's way too much stuff out there. There's way too much content, and I can't like, oh sure, I'd love to watch a fun new Star Trek show. I don't care that much about it. I'm not willing to pay or even I'm not even willing to sign up for a free trial. Yeah,
of the Paramount TV thing.
Yeah.
It is funny.
But I think that there's just like this, it's like it's going to be like this crossing inflection point again, where at some point it's going to be cheaper to get cable again.
Yeah.
Even though you're at kind of like the whim of whatever's being, broadcast, quote unquote, broadcast at the time.
I do have a sense too, is like there's different platforms that these movies are in. And the other day I fired up Netflix and the Dark Knight trilogy was on. Like, what the fuck? You were just on HBO Max 2 days ago. Now you're off that and you're here. There is a sense of, it's almost like the mall food court where they all have different fronts. One's Mexican, one's Chinese, one's Greek. But in back, it's the same chef. Just cooking all this crap up. It's the same thing. Okay. All right. It's Manfredi.
Yeah. All right. So my last choice is a personal one.
Oh.
And this is less an expense that I attempted to make, and this is one that an airline attempted to foist on me.
Oh.
This was back in my days doing public relations, and I had flown out to Boston on Delta Airlines. And I wanted to emphasize this was Delta that tried to fuck me over, because Delta is the worst of all airlines. And flown out to Boston for some work, was there a few days, was getting ready to come back. As I'm on the way to the airport, I get a phone call from the office manager at my PR firm that I worked at. And she said, oh, well, so Delta Airlines gave us a call, and they said, because they're promoting this new nonstop route from Boston to Los Angeles that you happen to be on, they wanted to offer you an upgrade from regular class to first class. So we said, great, sign you up for it. So just when you get there, go to the front desk, and they'll have a first class ticket waiting for you. They'll exchange your ticket. Fantastic. I get there, go up to the counter. Oh, here you go. Here's your first class ticket, sir. First ever time flying first class, and it's a cross-country flight, so I got to experience as much of it as I possibly could. And folks, if you've never flown first class on a long trip, it's not worth it, because it's a lot extra money. But when you're not paying for it, man, is it good. All the drinks I wanted. I got a little like steak with this like wedge salad. It was just fantastic. Get back to Los Angeles. A few days later, or about a couple weeks later, I should say, we get our Amex bill, and there's a charge for like $800 from Delta. We're like, well, what's this all about? We called Delta, and Delta said, oh, no, we didn't mean that it was a free upgrade. We were just offering the upgrade as an add-on that you could do. We were just offering you the opportunity to buy it. And apparently no one, at the way they had phrased it, made it seem like it was a complimentary upgrade. And this led to months of protracted back and forth between us and Delta and getting Amex involved. And it was just like this giant fucking nightmare. And eventually we wound up not having to pay it. I think Amex told Delta to go get bent. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, why would you call and say, hey, because why would you call and say, hey, we're offering you this opportunity to upgrade if you're not actually doing that for free? It just felt like a scam, like this major error. That's something I would expect from like, Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
If Spirit had a first class, which I doubt that they do. But that's like something you would expect from like some ATA Northwestern, like one of those ones that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Type bullshit.
I think Delta also has such a robust loyalty program. I presume there's always some regional sales representative for a tile company who's at the mile, max, and he can get a free upgrade for that. So the fact that they were selling them seems kind of funny, or it seems like it does seem like a waste of time.
Well, it seems disingenuous at best. It feels like a timeshare. Like, I just don't know why Delta is calling people up.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems weird that they would call up the offices of people who they know are in Boston right now because they have their plane ticket scheduled and try and do this weird upsell.
Yeah.
It's just super strange.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, Winfield, what's your last one?
I've never traveled first class, so even though that you went through a lot of pain, I am envious of it, Richard. I just want to say that. I
have done it twice, and the second time I paid for it, that one was worth it. It was up to Seattle. Paid like an extra $150. Worth it.
So my last extravagant expense is the idea of having a in-home color printer. It is just not worth it. You go out, you think you're going to need it. You spend $180, $200 for this printer.
Yeah.
After 12 pages, you have to replace the cartridges because they come with, like a cartridge that is a dummy, it's quarter full, if that. So you spend $60 on a new batch of CMYK toners, and then it says, oh, good, 300 pages. 300 pages is a lot of pages. After 52 pages, the thing starts to say, well, all the yellow's starting to run out.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I haven't printed anything in yellow, I don't think. I've only been printing these black pages. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Then it stops working because it needs to have the cartridge replaced. So you're like, well, I gotta print whatever this thing that I have deemed to be important to print in color. So you go through the thing, you order another thing, and you're 2 orders in, and you've printed 50 pages for the cost of half of this machine. It's just like, why don't I just buy another machine?
Yeah.
I'll just get another one. All of that thing starts rattling off in your brain about killing the environment, but you're so mad and spiteful. Mm-hmm. You don't know if you're mad at like the printer itself or just the printer cartridge. I think that's the printer company's their real key to it is making you mad at the cartridges, even though they say like HP on it, rather than the printer itself. They've transferred the blame. So you're stuck there and you're just so angry. And then you give your printer to your friend Jeff. Because he needs it in a pinch or something. I don't remember what it was.
You say, take it.
Take it. And you're fine that you've sunk the $300 into it for the one project that you really needed it for. And just like, God, please get this out of my house.
Whenever I get something from. I have to like send something back or something. They say it's simple. All you have to do is print out this label. I go, I'm keeping it. I'm not gonna. I can't. I don't need. I can't. I don't need the $200. I'm not gonna print anything out. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I don't know, and then just like, like the streaming services, you somehow get talked into like getting on like a subscription service for printer ink.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't even know what I'm printing anymore.
Oh.
What is my life?
Yeah.
I'll just wait till I go into the office, I guess, in a year when this worldwide pandemic is over. Good enough.
It's the worst.
The only thing I really need to print is like black and white line drawings that my kid can color in.
Oh, okay.
It's like I really only need to, print a, PJ Masks thing for him to do all the color. That's all I need in the house anymore. I don't need to sign anything. I can sign everything online. It's so weird. But those printers, they trick you into thinking you need one.
That's almost every job I think I've had is like, they should just start with, don't talk to me about benefits or anything like that, or we're like a family around here. Just say you get to use the printer. Sweet, I'm in. I don't want to own one of those things ever. All right, guys. Judgment Day. Let's go with, just because I've never heard these words together, Gravina Island Bridge fiasco, or whatever the last one of Alaska.
The Bridge to Nowhere.
The Bridge to Nowhere. I'm feeling you super hard from the nostalgia TIP with the Clerks, the VHS, and I think I might have veered us down the nostalgia road, which I do so much in my dotage. I'm always waxing that nostalgia. Let's go with the infotaining story about Department of Defense spending on NASCAR, and just because I want to take that hat and shove it up his pretentious ass.
That's a good choice, Rich.
Bono. Bono. Edge, you're okay. All right, gentlemen. Hey, happy tax day, everybody. I hope you filed for an extension because you're too busy sorting out all the bounty of deductibles you've had since you've been out for COVID and stuff like that. But yes, this has been the Mount Rushmore of ridiculous expenses. Hi, as always, I'm Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.